Right, here's another little video. I've got a 2012 Honda CRV. It's had issues with the cam phasers clanking since almost new, burning oil. It's a common problem with the 2012 Honda CRV. So I've replaced the timing chain on this as my wife's car, replaced the timing chain and replaced the cam phasers and solenoids there and all kinds of stuff. So time for a new engine. I've got a 2013 that'll be here any day. I'm going to start tearing this apart, and we'll show you some of the steps that we're going to go through to take the engine out. So stay tuned. Okay, first thing you want to do is take out the battery. You don't want the battery hooked up when you're doing this. It could cause some troubles. So disconnect the battery, two 10 mils on the positive and the negative. And then there's two straps that go down and hook on the battery plate. I think they're both 10 mils also. You loosen those and take those off and pull the battery out. And then the next thing we've done is taken out the air box. Now if you look back here, there's two little pins back there, so there's rubber grommets that it lifts off of. You want to disconnect it from this rubber connection here. Then there's a 10 mil bolt, and then the air box pops right out. Oh, there it is right there. So we've taken out that, we've taken out the coils and disconnected the O2 sensor. Alright, so I've made a little more progress here. What I've done is I've worked on this side, the injector wires, and this bracket here was bolted on the back. It was a 10 mil holding it onto the back of the engine, and then there's two little plugs here. Just squeeze the ends and wiggle and pop them off, and then down a little further underneath there's this guy here with a big rubber boot on it. That was a little bit tricky. And then this one here, right beside, down by the timing chain down there, or the timing side there. So I pulled all those off there so that we can pull the wire harness and kind of get it out of the way over here. I'm making some room to clear everything out of the way to get the engine off. So we've got a few more things to undo over here. Get this stuff out of the way. Still got a couple connections to undo, so I'm just undoing everything that I can off the engine and swinging it over to the side. Okay, so I hope this helps. I'm just kind of doing it bit by bit to move stuff away from the engine so I can get it out of the way. This little guy here, I'm not sure what that is, some sort of air line, is mounted to the block with two little 10 mils. So up top here there's one 10 mil here, and then if you can reach out with a little extension, there's another 10 mil down below. So this is what the little bracket looks like. Well, it looks like the one you can just loosen here and pull it off. So there's the bolt down there, and then the other one up here. So I've got every much, it looks like a little coolant line here still to do. I still have to drain the antifreeze and the oil, so I don't know if I want to hook that off yet. But and then I got one more electrical connection there I'm struggling with to squeeze and get off this kind of orange one down there. And then everything, yeah, it looks like almost everything is going to come to the side. I'm going to take the air intake off and remove that, so I got lots of room to pull it out the top. Alright, so picked up the replacement engine. Has about 90,000 kilometers on it. This guy's got 180, smoking like crazy. Anyway, here's the new guy. So what I like to do is see little dots there. I put 3 dots, 4 dots, 1 dot, smiley faces, whatever, on the connections. This is for the plumbing, but electrical I'll do little alphabets or whatever to to match them up. So I'm not getting them in the right place. So on the hoses in here, I've got 3 dots, 4 dots, same thing over on this side so I can match it up easy. So I'm not guessing, not plugging in the wrong things in the wrong places. So this new engine came with the wiring harness all attached to everything. Now I just finished taking everything off, so it's all sitting here inside. So what I'm going to do is just throw the engine back in with all that on there, and then I'll make sure I get the plugs in the right places. Just pull them off of here. But what I have to do here, the positive cable runs down to the starter and stuff down there, and I have to disconnect this. This whole unit came with the other engine, so I'm going to just disconnect it from the battery box right here, these 2 guys. And so yeah, just working on disconnecting all the plumbing, draining the antifreeze down there, and I'll drain the oil, and then we'll move along. Okay, so we need to take the exhaust off, but there is a shield over the top of it, 3 12mm bolts. And then you're going to need to take the O2 sensor off, and it's got a little shield. Little shield will not let you take the cover off without it. So it comes in handy to have a little O2 sensor socket. Pull that guy off. And then there's going to be 4 bolts on the back. Just like right here. Looks like 2 bolts and 2 studs. Okay, I'll need a 14mm wrench to loosen the tensioner, and that's that one on there. That one right there. So you gotta put it on there and push it clockwise. That guy will loosen up, and then you can pull the serpentine belt off. All right, underneath the car now, taking the little plate off covering the flywheel. That's just up underneath here. Focus on that. And just a 10mm bolts. I think there's 8 of them. And so what I've got, come back this way. 19mm socket there on a breaker bar, so we can crank the engine. So we'll be cranking it clockwise, coming around here, taking the first little nut off there, and we'll swing it around and take all these 8 off. And then we'll take off all the bolts attaching the engine to the transmission. And under here we've got engine mount, and I believe the axle is attached up there too, so we'll get that in a second. Okay, got the air intake off to get access to the starter motor. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nuts and bolts on the manifold itself, and then there's a bracket that attaches here, and then there's 3 bolts that on the bracket that mount to the engine. So pop that off, and then there's an air vacuum line, looks like there, it need to take off. And of course I've got the throttle body. Got the throttle body off of there. So this comes off. Put that aside. Now I got in here and got the starter motor out. There's 2 bolts on there. One's a 14mm at the back. It's a long one that comes out. So you can actually come in from this side with a little extension and reach it from right here, going this way. It's a little bit tricky to get at, and little small ratchets, but you work your way out. And then 17mm bolt on this one here. Then you can pull the starter motor out. So got the AC disconnected from the engine. Got the alternator there to come off. I might just leave it on. I'll see if there's another bolt. It's kind of hard to get at those bolts there. And just got a little bit more to go here. We've got the front engine mount there. And then back here underneath, we've got the drive shaft is attached there. So we're going to take that out, and then there's another engine mount right there. So it looks like 4 bolts or 2 bolts, depends which ones I want to take off there. Look like 2 bolts will take that mount off of the mount. All right, and then should be almost ready to pull this sucker. All right, managed to pull the engine out. It was a little bit tricky. Now there was one bolt I knew was there, but I just forgot it. Bottom one right there. It's under a cover. There's a little cover here that covers the crank sensor. So there's the oil filter. Goes right in here somewhere. Covers the crank sensor, yeah, like that. Covers the crank sensor like that. And there was one bolt right here. The engine came away nice and easy from the transmission. So got the transmission jacked up. Got a little jack on it, holding it there. It's twisted over a little bit, but that's no biggie. We'll bring her back when we drop the new one in. So we've got the alternator on here. Gonna have to take the air intake off, yeah, because the starter motor's under there, and then we will try and drop her back in. All right, so I was going to try and take this engine out with the axle in place, but looks, obviously you can see we pulled the axle out. The engine on the back has this ledge here, right down here, and couldn't pull it ahead and get it around it. So, I mean, you try and find ways to do it quicker and easier, but turns out sometimes you just have to do it the way you're supposed to, I guess. So we pulled the axle out. This is the replacement engine, just getting ready to go in. This one has the wiring harness and everything still attached to the engine. I just pulled the wiring harness off to the side here, so I'll just disconnect that all once we get it in there, and then run that wire up, and we got the little plug-ins to the computer. So we're just gonna drop this in. AC compressor off to the side. So did a little spray in here, degrease, cleaned it up down here a little bit nicer. Okay, we're dropping the engine in. Had to make a little clearance. Took this bracket off the back of the engine, get it over here. Now the engine, the way it's hanging, was twisting like this way, so the side towards the firewall was sticking out too far. So what I did is I took a ratchet strap and I hooked it in the exhaust manifold, wrapped it around underneath, and hooked it on the front frame here, and then tightened it up and pulled the engine straight so it can come in there. It's a tight squeeze, slowly wiggling it in there bit by bit. Got the pulleys over the engine mount there, and on the other side got pry bar there holding the transmission apart. Okay, the engine that I've replaced in my 2012 CRV here, or replacing, is a 2013. Now the wiring harness that was on it, I was just going to leave it on and all that, but I've had to undo the whole thing and take it off, the wiring harness is a little different. So there's the 3 plugs that plug into the computer, same as here, but then I've got another little plug, I'm not sure what that is, but it comes right off of that wiring harness and there's nothing on here. So if you're putting a 13 and a 12, just keep your wiring harness on the 12. Okay, got the engine back in, everything buttoned up. Engine mounts here, engine mount down in front. There's an engine mount in the back, was the very last one. I'll show you how I'm getting that here in just a second, because the whole, anyway, the engine mount was too far forward and you got to get the engine twisted around. Lots of tubes and stuff here. I marked them, and then the ones that I hadn't marked, I luckily found it went back into place easily. So got everything buttoned up into place. So I'll just show you quickly the very last bolt here to do underneath to get this last engine mount bolt. Get down here. So I just found on the mount up here I hooked the ratchet strap and then come around here and hooked it to the frame, and so this is the last one here. Needed the engine to be twisted towards the back of the car, so that's really ratcheted that tight, and that's the very last bolt in there. We've got new oil, a new filter, and transmissions topped up, because we lost a little bit after pulling the axle out. Yeah. Alright, there's another quick little video. 2012 Honda CRV. We put in a 2013 engine with half the kilometers on it. It seems to be running good. New oil, new filter. There's a few little tips and tricks there. Hopefully you got something out of it if you're replacing it. You just pulling the engine out. It wasn't too tricky actually. But if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'll be doing my best to answer them for you. Make sure you please like and subscribe, and help the little channel out would be appreciated. Anyway, any questions again, just please ask and I'll see what I can do for you. Alright, have a good one.